Hey everybody, welcome back to what I watched in February. This is going to be a really long one, so I'm just going to say shout out Karsten, and yeah, let's get rolling into it. I started the month rewatching the Lego Movie. Look, man, it's just one of the best and most creative animated films ever made. I told myself during the month of animation, which I guess I'll just talk about that now, since I didn't mention in the opening for some reason. I declared for February to be the month of animation. No real life movies, except one exception, which we'll get to. But yeah, the entire month of February is strictly animated movies. Doesn't mean I'm not going to watch animated movies after February, it's just I only wanted to watch animated movies during this month. So I kicked it off by watching the Lego Movie. It's just bursting with creativity, all the voice acting is great. There really isn't much wrong with it in my opinion. Great themes, great messages that kids and adults can love. It really is just a perfect family film for me. I then watched Perfect Blue 3 times. Yeah, we're just gonna join every Perfect Blue watch this month into this one segment. I haven't watched a movie for the first time this many times since Old Boy. And Old Boy is on my wall. So you guys can really take in how much I love this movie. When I first watched it, I didn't love it so much. However, on rewatch, the 2 times, I love the movie so much. I think it's one of the best animated movies ever made. If you guys want me to make a top animated films list on here, tell me in the comments. I think that'd be pretty fun. But yeah, I'm gonna save a lot of my thoughts. I actually want to make a full-fledged review on this movie, seeing as there's just so much to talk about it. But yeah, long story short, I think it's genius, it's brilliant, I love the animations, I love every single scene, the way it flows so cohesively. It's actually just a flawless film from start to finish that leaves you changed by the end. Let's just say that. I then watched Ponyo. I watched every single Studio Ghibli film this month. Every single one. Except The Boy and the Heron. I did not get around to rewatching that. I couldn't find it anywhere on any streaming platforms. That's what I watch. That's what I watch it on. Anyways, I'm making an entire Studio Ghibli ranked video in the upcoming days after this one gets out. So I'm gonna save all my thoughts on these. And yes, I literally watched every single one, even the ones I had already seen, in 1 month. It was my main goal, and wow, it was rough, but yeah, we'll just keep going. Then rewatched the Lego Batman movie. I mean, how could you not love this thing? I guess the humor might not land with everybody, but it lands really well with me. I think the movie's hilarious. And it's actually one of the few movies this month that actually got me choked up. The ending scene has just such a great emotional punch in my opinion. I think it's really well done. The characters, the way they grow, it's just a really good movie. Beautiful animation as this Lego style film has had. You know, I haven't seen the Lego Ninjago movie, but the animation looks good from what I can tell. And this one is no exception. It's actually incredible. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Then watch The Secret World of Arrietty. This is another Studio Ghibli film, and this one, if I could put this in one word, it would be derivative. Feels kind of bland compared to some of their other better films, which we'll talk about much later, but that's all I'll get into it with this one. I then rewatched Beauty and the Beast. Now I actually haven't seen this movie since I was a kid, and I was very excited to rewatch it, seeing as I loved it as a kid. And yeah, I still think it's pretty perfect, even as a 17-year-old. The romance, the chemistry between Beast and Belle is just absolutely incredible, as well as their characters. Gaston is one of my favorite Disney antagonists ever, and he's actually a really scary antagonist because it really is scary to have someone this dope-minded to have control over an entire town. So it poses a really good threat. The movie has stakes, it has tensions, it's really freaking good. And the ballroom dance scene actually is one of the best scenes I've ever seen in an animated movie. That pan shot actually has me floating. It is amazing. I then watched The Cat Returns. This is like the follow-up to Whisper of the Heart, which I'll talk about again later in the video. I had already seen Whisper of the Heart, so I was like, I'll watch The Cat Returns. And to sum it up, it's just a really fun, cute, charming movie that is honestly too short. I then watched Grave of the Fireflies. Ouch. Ouch indeed. This one I'm gonna talk about a lot in my Ghibli video because I have so much I need to say about this, but it would take a bit too long for this month, which has over 40 movies. I can't believe that. Anyways, this movie tears at your heart. It does it like nobody's business, and it's up there with the likes of Manchester by the Sea and Dear Zachary for one of the most heart-wrenching things I've seen. It just leaves you not soulless, but more or less heartless. And it does it in a way where you kinda see it coming, but it hits you like a brick when it happens. And it's great. I then watched The Little Mermaid. I wanted to knock off a couple of the classic Disney Renaissance films that I hadn't seen somehow. Yes, I know, we'll get to one even more popular later that I hadn't seen. But yeah, The Little Mermaid's fun. It's great. The musical numbers really stick. The underwater world is so vibey and so beautiful. However, Eric and Ariel's romance and chemistry just never really clicked as Belle and Beasts did for me. It's okay. I really like a lot of the side characters in this one. They really add a lot to some of the scenes. They're really funny. I like Sebastian a lot. It's just the central romance that really takes this thing down. Even though the boat ride, I can't remember the name of the song, but the boat ride scene is really good. I then watched Tales from Earthsea. Yep, another Studio Ghibli, and it's bland, boring, and very forgettable. In fact, I don't think I can remember a single thing about it except Willem Dafoe. There you go, done. I then watched When Marnie Was There. This is another Studio Ghibli, and maybe aside from The Boy and the Heron, this is maybe the most beautiful looking Studio Ghibli film. It's absolutely stunning with every single shot. The characters look so alive in this one, and just every shot of the water is just stunning. I love the story in this one too. The central two are great. Really like this one a lot. I then watched Akira. Look, I know some people think it's like the best animated movie ever made, Adam, but look, it's good, it's great. I understand the impact this movie had on not only animation, but film as a whole. It's incredibly powerful with everything it does. However, good lord, I could not get invested in this story no matter what I did. The first hour just feels so dry and dull, and it just did not hook me. Even though I do like the characters, I really like Kaneda, even though he is a dope, he's fun to watch. But man, just nothing really grabbed me until we started to get into the, Akira stuff, the Tetsuo going Super Saiyan. It just never really hooked me until then, which is kind of not what I was hoping for. I was really hoping to love this thing, and while I do like the motorcycle scenes, it's just like, that's cool, but like, it never really did anything to the story in my opinion. Look, I like the movie a lot, and the world building is some of the best I've ever seen, but good lord, I wanted a better story. I then rewatched Fantastic Mr. Fox. There was no way you were going to convince me to not rewatch one of my favorites of all time because, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, like, of course, Grand Budapest will always be my favorite Wes Anderson, but Fantastic Mr. Fox will always be second place. It's just so heartwarming. It's so orange and beautiful. I love the three antagonists. They're so goofy and hilarious. I love Michael Gambon's voice performance. I love Clooney in this one. And it's just such a good movie about with its themes of finding yourself, accepting who you are, and just loving your family, man. It's so good. Come on. I then watched Princess Mononoke, one of the higher acclaimed Studio Ghibli films, and it's not very hard to see why. The animation is stunning, the world building is insane. Even though you got some crazy things happening, you never really question it because the movie does such a good job of setting up what is going on in this world that we're living in for the next, how long is this one? An hour and a half? 2 hours? I don't know. Princess Mononoke, what's her name? Like, Ons or something? Yeah, she's awesome, obviously. I really like the antagonist in this one. She's really threatening and puts up stakes pretty high in this one. I just have a great time watching this one. If you haven't seen it, go watch Princess Mononoke. I then watched Earwig and the Witch. It's the worst animated movie I've ever seen. It is bottom of the barrel, awful animation, awful characters, just everything about this movie is terrible. Humor doesn't land. It's so derivative from every single Studio Ghibli that came before it. There's nothing enjoyable about this movie. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. Wow, I then watched The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, from one of the worst animated movies I've ever seen to one of the best. It's amazing. Again, I'll save a lot of my thoughts for the Ghibli video, but this one is actually just soul-crushing in every single way. And those are always the best types of movies. The animation is so beautiful, and I could not imagine this movie looking like a typical 2D animated Ghibli film or just any 2D film. It is one of the longer Ghibli films, but it doesn't feel like that because of how well the dialogue is written, the way that each scene flows perfectly to the next. Every single human emotion possible fills up inside of you, and then the ending is so goddamn good. I then rewatched Moana. Not much to say, it's amazing. I love Moana and Maui as characters. Of course, Tamatoa, Shea Frillis, you're not watching this, but you know what? Yeah, you're right. It Shiny is literally like the best Disney song ever. You're correct. I've thought this way since the first time I watched this movie when I was a kid. I still love Tamatoa. He's the best part of the movie still to this day, but it's a great movie anyways. I then watched Kiki's Delivery Service. Just a super fun movie. So much fun. However, it has great emotional beats when it's, talking about how Kiki loses her love for her passion. That's all I'll really say. I keep forgetting I'm making a Ghibli video and I'm starting to talk about these movies because I want to talk about them. They're so freaking good. But yeah, this one's awesome. Great characters, great world building, phenomenal movie. I then rewatched Soul. For the life of me, I'll never be able to understand why people cannot recognize this as Pixar's best film. Yes, I said it. It has taken me many years of my life to truly understand how phenomenal this movie is. I always gave it a 5-star when I was a kid because I watched this at the young age of 13 before I cared about how movies made me feel and what they meant as an art. But now that I understand movies more, I can safely say I think it's one of the best animated movies ever made. I'm not going to go too far into it because once Inside Out 2 comes out, I am going to be making a Pixar ranked. But all I'm saying is that not a lot of people will watch this anyway. This is Pixar's best film. Everything about it is flawless. I love it. Then watched Ocean Waves. Just a soulless, lifeless, clustered mess of terrible characters, annoying characters, and just a ton of missed potential here. There was a chance this movie could have been at least somewhat interesting, but they just kind of threw it all away with, again, highly unlikable characters that have no chemistry, no business talking to each other. It's such a whatever movie. Studio Ghibli, why did you even bother putting this thing out? I then watched Only Yesterday. This movie hit on so many levels. It's so good. Just the journey of finding yourself when you feel like you've lost yourself, and it's shown in a really creative way. I love this one. Can't wait to talk about it more in my Ghibli Ranked. I then watched Castle in the Sky, just a good old fun kids movie. It doesn't really have any overarching themes. It's just a really fun movie with beautiful animation, really fun side characters, in my opinion, a great antagonist. I had a great time with this one. Then watched Pom Poko. Just letting you guys know, the next 10 movies are all Ghibli, so these are going to be very concise. Pom Poko is overrated. I found it to be very boring. I didn't care about any of the characters, and that's about all I'll say. I then watched Nausicaa. Nausicaa was a really great introduction to Ghibli. It's a kind of weird introduction. Like, when you look at other studios, when you look at Pixar, Toy Story is such a good first movie. This is kind of a weird one. My big issue with this one is that the world didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, and the story just kind of felt a bit messy at times, but I really liked a lot of the characters. Great antagonists, great action sequences. Yeah. I then watched My Neighbors the Yamadas. Probably one of the funnier Ghibli movies. It had me laughing quite a bit. Just a great animation in this one. It's basically just Family Guy, but Ghibli film. I then rewatched Spirited Away. I know so many people call this the best Ghibli. I am letting you guys know it's not the best Ghibli film. It really isn't. I'd love to say that, but it's not. Something about the story just doesn't really hit with me as something compared to Grave of the Fireflies or Tale of the Princess Kaguya. But the world that Miyazaki builds in this one is obviously incredible. Chihiro's growth throughout the movie, the way she helps the people surrounding her is incredible. Then watched The Wind Rises, an incredible biopic, an animated biopic. I don't know how many I've seen of those, but this one was really good. A great biopic about something I really don't care about, with a main character who's a little bit boring. but there's a lot of phenomenal elements to this movie as well. I then watched Porco Rosso, another one of the funnier Ghiblis, and I don't think the movie lacked from that. It just kind of lacks an emotional punch for me. I love my movies to have emotional cores to it. I love sad movies. I don't know if you can tell, but I love sad films. And this one just lacked a bit of an emotional punch for me. It kind of is fading away with time, while something like Tale of the Princess Kaguya is still fresh in my mind. I then rewatched My Neighbor Totoro. How could you not love this movie? It's so fun for the time when it is whimsical. It's so perfect. However, the lack of a story and honestly the lack of Totoro is something that brings down this movie for me. That doesn't make it a top tier Ghibli. I then watched From Up on Poppy Hill. Another really fun, cute one with an insane middle that just kind of throws you for a loop, but a great ending. Like this one a lot. I then rewatched Howl's Moving Castle. This is another one where I just feel like I need to make a review on this movie because I think it's so mid and overrated and everyone thinks I'm crazy for that, and I'm sorry, but good lord, I need to talk about this movie later. Then rewatched Coraline, just such an incredible movie from start to finish. It scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. The characters are so expressive, so lifelike, so creatively made. Like they have really good designs to them. The story is super interesting, super intriguing. I haven't seen anything like this before, and I don't think I ever will again. Truly something that is really special that anybody can find at least some enjoyment from it. Then watch Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. I've been meaning to watch this one for a very long time. Decided to watch it during the month of animation, and yeah, it's great. Standout for me was obviously the Joker. The Joker is so good in this movie. He's so fun, he's so charismatic. I need to watch Batman the Animated Series. I know that. My only real downside is that it was like pretty predictable. It was a very predictable twist, very predictable everything. But I really liked how they delved into Batman's philosophy and his character in the movie, which, you know, ups it up quite a bit. Then rewatched Whisper of the Heart. If you remember back in December, I gave this thing a 3.5. I thought it was a bit slow, and now we're a borderline 4.5 on rewatch. I really felt Shizuku struggle a lot more on this watch. I'm not sure why. I think it's probably because I watched it in sub, in the original, and also not going to get too crazy. Something was happening during my watch, and I kept checking my phone for something, and yeah. This time I watched it in dub, and I just connected a lot more with it. I think the characters are great. The musical number in the middle of the movie is incredible. I like this movie a lot now. I then rewatched Trainspotting. Yeah, I broke. After so many animated movies, I just needed to watch a live action one. And yeah, I can now safely say after my 4th watch of this movie, it is one of my all-time favorites. It is in my top 10. I love everything about it. I think it's one of the best screenplays ever. Not screenplay, but script. The script is so amazing. It's incredible. I love Ewan McGregor. He gives a great performance. It has a top 3 ending of any film I've ever seen. It's actually just a flawless movie that just shows you, hey, drugs are bad. Yeah, drugs are bad. But the difference between something like this and Requiem for a Dream is rewatchability, and that's like a pretty big key factor in this. Where Requiem for a Dream, you never want to watch it again the first time you see it. Trainspotting, I could watch endlessly if I could. It truly just is a masterpiece. And I will be ranking Danny Boyle soon. I know I say I'm ranking a lot of things. I still have to do my Paul Thomas Anderson ranked, which I still haven't filmed. And I finished his movies in December. Wow, I really need to step on it. Anyways, Trainspotting, masterpiece, top 10 of all time. I then watched The Iron Giant. I can't believe I waited this long to watch it. It's been on my list for a very long time, and it's just so good. It has almost everything that I love in a kid's movie. Has great themes, has a great emotional punch by the end, it has great characters and side characters. The antagonist can be a little too stupid for my liking. He's a great voice acting performance here. He's really funny at times, but sometimes he's just a little too stupid for my liking. He almost sends a nuke to explode a bunch of innocent people just because he's mad at a robot. It's like, and he accidentally did it. Like, and the movie plays it off as if he did it accidentally and he didn't know what he was doing, but it's just like kind of stupid. I really like Hogarth. He's a really funny name, by the way. Jennifer Aniston is heavily underused as well, but it's honestly just an incredible story. And I love how they could just get you to care about this robot who barely talks. So thanks, Vin Diesel. I then rewatched Cars 2. I thought maybe I'd find a bit more enjoyment than when I was a kid. I watched this years and years ago, and I didn't even like it as a kid. And also, there's a lot of people. I have a movie story on my Snapchat, and a lot of my friends, after I post and talk about how much I dislike this movie, they hate me. I'm like, guys, it's because you grew up with it, and you have smaller brains, and you don't look at movies for the writing, like I do. This is just a stupid, dumb, derivative kids movie that has no interesting plot. Mater isn't funny. Grave of the Fireflies has honestly more levity than this movie. It really is just so bland and boring, and I literally paused it 7 minutes and 44 seconds into the movie, and I thought to myself, is this really how I want to spend this night? The only night that is ever going to be February 24th, 2024. I really am going to spend it watching this, and I obliged, unfortunately. I then watched Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. This movie's so much fun. Oh, it's so fun. It's so creative, so original. I mean, it is a horror spoof, but like, it's so fun. Wallace and Gromit are great. I love the ending dogfight scene. It's so good. The villain is so great. I love Ralph Fiennes and everything he does. Right now, I'm on a journey to watch and, yes, you guessed it, eventually rank every single animated Best Feature winner. Heck, maybe go through it year by year and talk about every single animated film, because this month has really given me a love for animation. I always loved animation, but now I really love it, and I just want to talk about animated movies. So I might do that sometime in the very distant future, because the rest of the year is going to be crazy for live action films. You'll see. Hopefully I can get that done. Anyways, Wallace and Gromit's amazing. Definitely, I think it deserved its win. If I remember what it's going up against. I think it went against Howl's Moving Castle, which is hilarious. I then watched Zootopia for the first time. Wow. I didn't think I'd like this one as much, but I actually really enjoyed it. I really like Nick and Judy. They're a great duo, and they make for a lot of funny moments. And I think the racial stuff is handled mostly well. It's very apparent in a lot of scenes. It feels like almost every other sentence, and I do understand the criticism that I've seen with this movie, how they're taking the predator and the prey and using the predator as the bad ones, which is kind of with the racial stuff. It kind of creates a not so great allegory, but for the most part I think it's handled really well. I do like this movie a lot, to be honest. It's really funny. Great stuff here, except the twist villain. The twist villain is actually garbage and had no reason to be in the movie. I then watched Aladdin. Yes, for the first time, I know. What the heck, Brady? I really bought Jasmine and Aladdin's relationship in this one. They have great chemistry. The songs are insane. A Whole New World is, good lord, holy moly. It's beautiful. I actually really like Aladdin in this one. I also really like Jafar. The ending fight scene's great. And of course, that boy Robin Williams comes in and just makes the movie a million times better. R.I.P. to the GOAT, Robin Williams. I genuinely think his voice acting performance as the genie is the best Disney voice performance of all time. But yeah, it's just so good. I loved this movie so much. It's excellent. Yeah, it's amazing. My only real issues is some of the CG animation in the Cave of Wonders. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, it did not age well. But anyways, great movie. I then watched Anomalisa. I have so much to say about this film. So much. Because on a technical and filmmaking standpoint, I should love this movie. I should love it. Every single shot is so carefully placed. The composition, the lighting, the performance, the movement of these stop motion dolls is incredible. It has a very dark script with some dark comedy thrown in there. Everything about the movie screams, hey Brady, this is gonna be your thing. However, it didn't land in the execution. If I were to compare this to another movie where I didn't like it as much as I thought I should, it'd be Lost in Translation. Except I liked this one more because it actually had me thinking about the movie after I watched it. Lost in Translation just got lost in my mind. Sorry. Anyways, this movie is just really sad. I really did get invested as we went along, but the first hour just kind of feels a bit dull, not very entertaining. It's a bit lifeless. And I guess that is the point, seeing as he's living the mundane lifestyle, but it just didn't do anything for me. The best example I can think of that does this for me perfectly is the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix. That movie did this type of movie perfectly, where something in the guy's life shakes his life up and makes him appreciate life for a little bit. I think Her did that best. Anomalisa was a good attempt, but Inside Out definitely deserved the Oscar over this one. Then watched Happy Feet, rounding out the last two animated feature winners is Happy Feet and Rango, which I wasn't able to watch Rango before the end of the month, but I did unfortunately watch Happy Feet, and this movie's really bad. It's not really funny. Hugh Jackman, there's a couple great voice performances here, like Hugh Jackman does really well. Who doesn't like his voice? But yeah, it's just a messy, boring kids movie that I was kind of wishing was over after 20 minutes. It's not very good. I'll just leave it at that. And then I rounded the month out by re-watching It's Such a Beautiful Day. I haven't seen this movie since December of 2022, and that was, again, way before I really understood films. The only films up to that point that I had watched that made me feel something were Joker, 127 Hours, Fight Club. That's it. Those are the only movies that really made me appreciate, and I guess It's a Wonderful Life, but yeah, whatever. But then I watched this and I was like, yeah, it's really great, and I understand it's great. It got me feeling, but yeah, it was a good experience. And then I rewatched it and I was like, wow, this is one of the most tragic and most depressing movies I have ever seen, which is why it takes the cake as the best animated film and my favorite animated film of all time. I've never seen a film depict the reality of mental illness quite like this one. The animation works so well here for me. The story is just one turn after another. It's just like, ow, 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 and then you cry, and then the movie ends and you're like, what? It truly is a masterpiece, and this movie is, dare I say, as cringe as it sounds, one of the deepest movies I have ever watched, and I love it for that. There we go. That's what I watched in February. We're done with the month of animation. I'm gonna start crying. A couple animated films I didn't get to check out during this month. The biggest one, The Prince of Egypt. I have it sitting upstairs on DVD. It just hadn't come in before the end of the month. I'm watching it tomorrow. It'll be the first month of March because it's March 5th and I haven't watched a movie because wow, 40 animated movies. You gotta take a break, okay? Give me some time to breathe, okay? But yeah, that's the month of February. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, of course, if you want to. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.